In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I made $50,400 in just 15 days with one client of mine as a growth operator. And the craziest part is we did this with an entirely African audience. This is going to be a complete step-by-step launch breakdown, and I'm going to show you every single strategy that I used to make my client this amount of money so you can replicate it and do it with literally any audience for yourself, whether you're a coach, creator, or a growth operator trying to learn for one of your clients. I'm going to show you literally every single step and give you all of the sauce. Like I said, we generated over 50K in 15 days with one client, and you can replicate this with any audience. So make sure you stick around. Let me just show you how big this Miro board is and how in-depth it is. Look at how much sauce we have in here. I'm going to go through the account cleanup, the content that we used, the market research, the offer and how we created it, the exact funnel and sales process we used, showing you all of the marketing as well, the Whisper Tease shout, and the Waitlist private launch, as well as all of the automations, and then a quick recap. So stick around. This is going to be straight up sauce the entire way through. By the way, if you're a coach or creator and you want to see results like these, probably better, since I'm assuming your audience is better than this one, please feel free, click the link in my bio or in the description, book a free call with me. I'd love to have a discussion with you, see if it would be a good fit, and see how we could make you even more money than you're about to see today. Again, we made over $50,000 in 15 days with one client, and you can do this with any audience. Now, this is not another surface level breakdown. Most launch breakdowns consist of people showing the basic principles of how to run a launch or scale a coaching offer. They show surface level concepts like market research, offer creation, and what funnel to run. While I am going to still show those things, I'm going to make this a lot more in depth and show you the exact details of everything that we did. Again, most breakdowns just give you generic market research tips, surface level offer creation advice, pick a funnel and run with it, basic principles everyone already knows. But in this breakdown, I'm going to show you an exact step-by-step path that I took, every single tactic that I used to hit 50K in 15 days, and show you exactly how to do it with any audience and give you all of the sauce completely in depth with no steps skipped. Now, what you'll walk away with if you stick through this entire video, I'm going to show you exactly how to clean up the accounts for your clients, or if you're a coach or creator, for yourself, how to optimize your accounts to make sure you gain the absolute most amount of trust possible. Also, I'm going to show you all of the market research tactics that we used to deeply learn our ICP to make this amount of money, exactly how to create the best offer possible from that information that we gather, what funnel to use or what funnel we used, and how you can decide what funnel you should use as well. And then exactly how you can copy this playbook to make yourself over 50K in less than half a month. Again, here's some of the proof. This is the tracking dashboard that we used. As you can see, over 50K in just 15 days, as well as just under 35K in cash collected. And here's the audience, just so you can see. These are just our YouTube statistics. I'll show you more of our market research statistics very soon, but 42.2% South Africa, 8.8% Nigeria, 7.2% Kenya, and 4.1% Zimbabwe. These are the top 4 countries of our YouTube audience, which is insane. Now, let's start immediately with step 1 of this entire process. Right after I signed this client, the first thing that we did was account cleanup. The first step is the account cleanup, and most people skip it. Most people begin launch breakdowns by starting off with market research, like I said. I will get into that soon, and I'll even show you the exact questions I asked and the interview tactics I used to deeply understand my client's ICP. But if you do things correctly, market research is not the first thing you should be doing. Instead, the first step that I took is what I call account cleanup, as I just said. It's really important to do it first. Don't jump straight into market research and funnel building, because the problem with that is the traffic, if you're just pumping content or even ads, all of your traffic is going to hit a broken profile unless you've already optimized it before. There's no trust involved, and you're never going to get any conversions if you have an ugly profile. Make sure you fix the profile first and then drive the traffic with content and ads if you want to do that. But this was a completely organic launch, by the way, so we're not going to dive too much into ads today. Now, One key foundational marketing concept that you may have heard of is called KLT, or know, like, and trust. And the idea is that consumers are much more likely to buy something from you the more they know, like, and trust you. No. Pretty much, it means they've seen you, the audience has seen you, and they know who you are at this point. Like, your personality and content resonates with them. They start to like you. After they know you, they begin to like you. And then T is trust. They start to trust you. They believe you can deliver. And this is what we're going to talk about first. Again, I'll talk more about knowing and liking soon, but first, let's talk about trust. Now, what is trust exactly? Customers must believe you can deliver on your promises. This is built through social proof, such as reviews, testimonials, case studies, and providing consistent value, essentially, especially with organic content, which we'll talk more about again in a minute. For someone to ever buy from you, they must trust you first. One of the most important things for gaining someone's trust early is their first impression of you. This is true for info, and this is also true in real life, just meeting people. In this case, someone's first impression is made the second they see any of your social media accounts. So what happens in the first 10 seconds on your profile? They land on your profile, whether it's from a short form video, a share, or a search. This is moment zero. The first impression begins immediately. They read your username, so it's important to be simple and clean, so it's credible. Things like underscores, numbers, and randomness are super confusing. This reaction is subconscious, but instant. You do it as well. Just think about the last time you saw a random profile with like a bunch of underscores and numbers and stuff. It's just not clean. It doesn't look good in your mind, and you instantly subconsciously think like, you think about it. You know what I mean? You think about it, whether it's negative or neutral, you think about it, and you shouldn't have to. It should just be clear and obvious. Next, they look at your profile picture. That's why it's really important to have a clear headshot, because it signals that you're a real, accountable human. Also, I didn't list this as a step, but sharing your real name, which I'll talk more about in a minute, also builds a lot of trust. Next, after they see the picture, they scan your bio. Who you are, why they should listen to you, what you do, and these questions need to be answered in those first 2 to 3 lines. Again, Instagram and TikTok are short form content sources. Now, people are very smooth brained and don't really spend much time whatsoever scanning, so it's really important that you build that trust and credibility instantly with just a couple of short words. Plus, in this case, putting a single clear CTA line at the bottom pointing to a link is really important too. Again, I'll dive into that a bit more in a second. And then checking your highlights. Now, that's the final piece. People look at your highlights and they instantly see whether you're credible or not based on what you have there. So making sure they're organized and relevant is super huge. Now, take a look at these 2 trading creators. Both of them sell products, by the way. First, look at trading course. Look at the username. I purposely blocked out the followers because that can also signal credibility, but who cares about that right now? Trading underscore course underscore underscore. Super weird name shown here. Trading courses. Random tag or random at tagged. Literally says trading here. 650 courses and then some random ugly link. Now look at Daylo Trading. Has his full real name here. It says exactly what he does. 3+ years of trading experience, creator of the bias model, one clean link right here, and then some relevant highlights. Let's look at this really quickly. Again, this username is full of underscores, super hard to find and remember. Even if you found it, you probably wouldn't be able to find it again unless you followed. The highlights were a mess. I didn't show them here because it's literally pointless. They're so ugly. This guy also has 4 links in the bio, which causes a ton of friction. You should be minimizing friction throughout the entire process. It should take 1 click to get them where they need to go. And this account literally does none of the trust building things that it should be doing. Simon's account, on the other hand, he has a simple, clean, memorable username, just Daylo Trading. He's known as Daylo, so it's perfect. He has a verification badge. Even at $14.99, it's super beneficial to have because, again, subconsciously, you instantly think it's credible. He has his real legal name right here, Simon Day. Super useful, instant credibility. A clear headshot of who he is. He's instantly recognizable. He has his credentials in his bio, and he has relevant highlights. Super huge. Again, username, simple, important. Real legal name. He has his credentials in his bio. He has a verification badge, a clear headshot, and relevant highlights. This is a perfect account. great username clarity, great profile picture, and all of the others. Now, the other account does none of these things. When first starting to work with my client, her username was not optimized for discoverability or memorability. It literally had a bunch of underscores. I think it had 4 underscores in it. It wasn't even her name or related to her name. And the highlights were an absolute mess. She had 4 links in her bio, and it just caused a lot of friction and a lot of confusion. Now, her username is literally just her legal name, which is much easier to find and remember. And her bio describes her trading credentials, who she is, clearly and concisely, and she has a CTA at the bottom link of her bio pointing to a singular link. And in that link, we have it redirecting to her YouTube channel so people can start to be nurtured by the long form content. Now, here's some free sauce. We specifically have a YouTube deep link as the link in her bio. If you don't know what a deep link is, this opens the YouTube app when it's clicked, if it's on mobile, instead of opening the Instagram browser. Now, take a look at this. If you click a regular YouTube bio link, it opens YouTube in Instagram's built-in browser, as you can see a screenshot of right here. And when you try to interact with a video or subscribe to the channel, it prompts you to subscribe by signing in. No one is ever signed in to the Instagram browser, so this literally stops engagement altogether. You literally can't engage with videos on the Instagram browser, but a YouTube deep link completely fixes that. It sends you directly to the YouTube app, which people are already likely signed into. They can like your video, they can comment, they can subscribe. Super easy, and you get all the engagement. That's extremely beneficial. Now, unrelated to the YouTube deep link, but the stuff we talked about a second ago, it's extremely important that you do this across all of your socials. I know I just talked a little bit about Instagram specifically, but you want to make sure that things are congruent across all of your channels so people don't have to second guess whether the account on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube is yours or not. Like I said, it's pretty important to have cross-platform congruency. Same username across everything, legal name displayed hopefully across all platforms. Hopefully the same picture of yourself or of the creator that you're working with, making sure that it's just easy to recognize instantly. And then also for links in your YouTube bio, and then for short form specifically, make sure you're having the link be to your YouTube unless you're in the midst of a launch or an evergreen offer and you just want to push the offer, because you want to be funneling all of that short form to long form, which I'll talk a little bit more about here. Again, unless you're in the midst of a launch, make sure you're pushing to your YouTube channel. And the reason is the short form to long form nurture path is super important. So people, let's say they're finding you from your Instagram or TikTok, right? The short form content grabs their attention and a lot more people see it, more than likely. Then they visit your profile, they check your username, they check all the things we just talked about. The next course of action when they read your CTA is to click the link in the bio if they're more interested. Then, super important that it's YouTube because it pushes them to YouTube, which is long form content, which instantly begins to nurture them and build a deeper trust. And once they trust you, that's when they invest. So some more platform specifics. Having the link in your bio should go to your YouTube channel. Like I said, at least that's what we did for this launch. Bottom line in the bio should be a CTA pointing to it saying, click this here, making sure it's telling them what to do. You already know CTAs are really important. Instagram highlights should be on point. Having YouTube, people getting sent to YouTube to nurture them is huge. And then also something I didn't speak about yet, for your YouTube links, making sure that the names of your links is the CTA as well. And it should be to your short form. If people are finding you on there, you want to be sending them to your short form so they can follow on there as well, which I'll show you in a second. Again, what a completely optimized bio looks like, just so we can have one last look at the anatomy, just making sure your display name is your full legal name. This just makes it seem way more trustworthy. Making sure you have a clean username. You want to have your credentials in your bio, what you do, why you're trustworthy, and you want to have a CTA with a deep link pushing people to your long form. Now, this is what I was talking about for the links on your YouTube channel. The CTA is the name of the link. Right here you see follow my Instagram, so people can just click the link to follow your Instagram. Follow my TikTok, same thing. Now, I also want to mention that in your YouTube description, which essentially serves as your bio for Instagram and TikTok, you want to have it be a little bit longer. And the idea is that YouTube is a longer form platform, so if people are going to spend the time to read the copy in your bio on YouTube, you might as well have a little bit more there because again, it just nurtures them more. Now, I just want you to remember all of this. I'll go through it one more time just so we have it very, very clear. Across all of your accounts, you want to have a simple, clean username designed for discoverability and memorability. One headshot profile picture across all of your socials. You want your full legal name as your display name where possible. On your bio, as your links from your short form, so TikTok and Instagram, you want to have a deep link to your YouTube channel. You want to also make sure that the bottom line in your bio is a clear CTA pointing to the link, telling them to click it or what to do. You also want to make sure you optimize your story highlights on your Instagram. You also want to make sure that your YouTube bio is a little bit longer so you can nurture them. And then lastly, on your YouTube links, you want to make sure the names are also CTAs. This is everything, if done perfectly, to have minimal friction and as much engagement as possible. Now, the second step in this process was dialing in the content. Once we already had the account set up, the next piece is getting content so we have leads coming through. Remember, people have to know, like, and trust you before they'll ever buy something from you. Now that the initial trust piece is down, the next step is the know. Now, before customers can buy from you, they must know you exist, obviously. This involves building brand awareness through marketing channels such as social media, advertising, but we're not doing paid ads yet, and content marketing. Again, this was a completely organic launch. We're not doing any paid ads, but just wanted to mention that is a possibility as well. You could be using that. And in order for people to ever even see what we just built and develop that trust, they first have to know that you exist. And since we aren't running any paid ads yet, the only way to do that is through organic content. So there are 3 types of content that are crucial for making money with mentorships. You might know, but it's top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel content. Now, top of funnel is essentially attracting eyes and warming them up a little bit. It's content made to attract eyeballs and warm up new audiences. It's typically stuff like entertainment, personality videos, or viral formats. Next is middle of funnel, potentially the most important. The idea is to nurture the audience and educate them. It's content made to nurture, educate, and build trust. It's things like educational videos, step-by-step guides, and sometimes free courses or boot camps if you're in trading, you know what I mean. And lastly, bottom of funnel content. The idea is to convert and close the audience members directly. It's super conversion focused content, literally designed to push a conversion. It's usually tied to a specific offer with a CTA, but save that type of content for the actual launch push. Now, since we weren't pushing a product yet, it was important that we focused on top of funnel and middle of funnel. This client already had a content flow that she was comfortable with. She didn't want to increase content output until tangible results from me came in and I built more personal trust with her. So I didn't push on that too much, but obviously we can improve upon that for the next launch by doing more middle of funnel content. Now, for an ideal weekly posting schedule, if you can have your client, or if you're a coach, if you are willing to do as much content as possible, I would say 1 to 2 YouTube videos a week is great. Long form content is the best. Primarily middle of funnel content that educates, builds awareness, and the like factor simultaneously, and occasionally top of funnel content to bring in new eyes. Obviously, YouTube, like I said, is the most important platform for nurturing and getting new buyers. Then Instagram and TikTok, I would say 5 to 14 per week, depending on how much output you have the ability to do. Instagram, I would say a little bit more of a mix of top of funnel and middle of funnel. And then TikTok, if you're doing separate videos, obviously you can post the same ones on both of these platforms. But if you're doing separate, just focus a little bit more on top of funnel. People aren't really going to stick around as much to be nurtured on TikTok, but you might as well post some middle of funnel as well. Now, what my client did was post 1 long form YouTube video per week, which was essentially just a weekly trade recap. She's a trader, and a week in the life from her previous week of trading. Now, it was more of a top of funnel type of video, and this served her well because it touched on like, and a lot of her audience members really started to like her because it really showed the ins and outs of her life and what she did as a very profitable trader. But again, we can improve upon this for the next launch by posting more middle of funnel. Now, once they're aware of you, consumers must feel a connection or affinity towards your brand. This is established by sharing values, being authentic, and creating a memorable brand personality. Her entire weekly week in the life videos led a lot of her audience to genuinely like her, like I said. I did my absolute best to get her to post more middle of funnel content to provide as much free value as possible, but that's something we can improve upon for the next launch. Like I've mentioned, middle of funnel content truly does play a key role in building trust because of this. Why middle of funnel content matters the most. You may have heard this before, but the idea is that people think in their head, if they're giving this away for free, I can only imagine how good their paid products are. And again, this is a subconscious psychological trait that truly happens in people's minds, whether they think it consciously or not. And this is exactly what people think when you give away your teachings for free. So I say post as much middle of funnel content as possible. Again, in the case of organic content for mentorships and info products specifically, YouTube is king. Now, have you ever heard of the 7-11-4 rule? If not, it essentially states that consumers should consume 7 hours of content over 11 touch points in 4 separate locations before making a purchasing decision. YouTube provides the longest form of content, which when consumed regularly will quickly close that gap on those first 7 hours. But if you rely strictly on short form content, your audience will quite literally never be able to spend even close to that much time with you. Now, as we're ending the content section off, I want you to remember these. Post videos with as much free value as possible. This will naturally lead people to believe that your paid products are even more valuable. And most importantly, be uniquely you. There are tens of thousands of coaches out there who sell nearly identical products or mentorships. The main differentiator between each of them is that they are completely different people with completely different stories and lived experiences. In order for your audience to know, like, and trust you, don't try to be like everyone else. Use your uniqueness to your advantage. Talk about your life, and this will serve you so well in the long run, I promise. Next up was the market research. The goal of market research is to understand your audience better than they know themselves. You want to have so much information on your ICP so you can master who they are after spending time directly in their mind instead of throwing stuff together and guessing. Market research makes this an invaluable step for anyone trying to understand their audience. You can then use this information in your marketing and messaging later on to target the audience. And what that is called mirror language, a communication strategy where marketers adapt their messaging, word choice, tone, and phrases to match the language their audience already uses. By reflecting the customer's own words, pain points, and terminology, companies build trust, rapport, and a sense of familiarity. It's literally based on the principle of empathy, where the goal is to make the audience feel seen and understood rather than simply pushing a product and selling it because they're aware that you're trying to do that. But if you just offer what they say their desires are, they're just going to trust you subconsciously. Now, we did market research in 3 different ways. The first is surveys and polls. The second was distributing a typeform survey. And the third was direct market research calls, which is typically the best one. Now, what we need to find out. The first route we went with were the story questions and polls. In order to learn as much as possible about the entire audience, we had to make sure to cover as many of the client's media channels as possible. So we did deep research on Instagram, TikTok, Telegram, and the YouTube community section. Some of the most important information we needed to find out for this client were the actual demographics, like the age, gender, region, who exactly they are, where they live. Firstly, we needed to know the actual region because we only had the YouTube demographics of showing their region, like I showed you before at first. So we wanted to see if there was actually an audience in North America at all. And it was important for us to find out the gender of these people because my client is a female. So we wanted to know if a lot of her audience were also girls. Next, the traffic source. We wanted to make sure we find out exactly what platform they watch her the most on so we could double down on there. Also, what their trading experience level was. Most importantly, their financial qualification, because that's going to turn into the offer price point. Also, the primary struggles they have with trading, their desired goals, past experience with mentorships, and then of course, common objections so we can pre-handle those before the sales process. Here are some direct screenshots from the questions we asked. As you can see, this is a Telegram poll. Where are you trading from? 82% African. This Instagram story said, what makes you not trust trading mentors? Top answer was they only show you wins, never losses. So we started showing more of my clients' losses. How much do you currently have to invest in your trading? 83% said under 1,000, which is super unfortunate. What's the number one reason you haven't hit consistency yet? Psychology being the number one reason, which you can expect with trading. And then how long have you been trading for? Over 3 years was the top answer. Now, for the Typeform survey, one of the best strategies to get the most survey responses possible is by using a lead magnet. Now, a lead magnet is a free, valuable incentive, such as an ebook, a cheat sheet, a checklist, a course, or some other offering provided in exchange for something, typically being contact information, but in this case, we got contact information and market research answers. Now, it's typically just positioned as a free sample designed to attract interest. And why it's helpful. A traditional survey, people just ignore it. They think, why should I fill this out? There's no incentive to complete it. It always has much lower completion rates, and it's seen as asking a favor. But if you do a survey with a lead magnet or anything else that you need with a lead magnet, respondents get something valuable in return. They feel like it's the first product that they're receiving. They don't think of it like it's a survey. They also have much higher completion rates, and you're also getting contact information, and it builds goodwill and trust immediately because you're giving them, again, free value. Here's something super important to note. Marketers mistakenly view lead magnets as cheap throwaways just to get leads. And when it's treated like this, they end up making a really cheap product in just a few minutes. The problem with that is the lead magnet is not a standalone throwaway product. It is literally the foundation of your funnel, the first thing that people interact with. It's the first product they ever receive from you. And the same way that they think about middle of funnel content is how they'll also think about this. The more free value you provide, the better they expect your paid products to be. And because of this, I ended up creating an extremely in-depth trading journal for this client as our lead magnet. In the trading niche specifically, journaling your trades is a very common practice, and not everyone has a journal that they can use, so this performed really well. We promoted it across all of our marketing channels for 2 days, and here's an example of one of the story sequences we used to promote it on Instagram and TikTok. Every consistently profitable trader I know tracks their trades properly. No screenshots, no notes in your phone, a system that shows patterns, leaks, and strengths, which is exactly why I built my in-depth trading journal, and today I'm giving it away for free. If you're serious about improving your trading and you want a free copy of the journal, and then a screenshot of the journal here, tap this link. Now, this section was just designed to be a teaser and talk about the actual journal. And then this link right here was a link directly to the Typeform survey. And at the end of the survey, they were sent the journal. Now, when they clicked this link, before it instantly popped up as the Typeform, they were actually sent to this funnel just to, incentivize them a little bit more, right? They come here, get your trading journal for free. They see this, they click get instant access, and they go through the Typeform. It's just that little extra nudge that some people may need to see, like, what's this about? If they see an instant survey, they might not fill it out. This is a little bit more friction technically, but it's more beneficial because people see this extra copy, which will entice them if they like what they see. Now, what the survey revealed to us, it determined where the majority of the traffic is. Again, super important because it allows us to double down on the right platforms. It also completely built us out our initial email list and CRM completely. It literally did 2 things at once by sending the contact information into our CRM and our ESP, email service provider, so we could begin marketing to them on those channels too. It allowed us to deeply understand our audience, and it allowed us to find out the most important piece of the puzzle, which is their level of financial readiness. We had a financial qualifier. Let me show you some of the exact questions that I used in the market research Typeform. As you can see, what platform led you here? We had a couple of options. This determined exactly where the majority of her traffic's from. Another question was just getting their contact information. Like I said, we had an automation set up to send this information directly into the CRM and to the ESP so we could start marketing to them on both of those channels. Also, another one, what do you currently do for work? On top of being a trader, my client's also a full-time doctor. She makes a lot of money, over $60K a month with trading, but she loves to work and has always been a fan of the medical field. So she still does her doctoring job too. So we wanted to see, how well off the audience was. And it just gave us a better understanding of who they were by asking exactly what they do for work. Also, what's the biggest hesitation about joining any mentorship right now? This will allow us to pre-handle any objections that we may get down the line. And the most important piece, how much do you currently have to invest into your trading? This allows us to find out how much money they're willing to put into something like this to change their life, to learn more about trading. A lot of the times people will just put in what they have saved up, which is good too. Upon completion of the survey, they were redirected to a thank you page with instructions on how to receive their free journal. They were also informed at this point that they're being added to a wait list for something big. we had been working on for a while. So we used this market research form to double as a waitlist creator, and we just used the financially qualifying question to add people into a different pipeline stage in the CRM so that we could then sell to them first, which I'll show you later on, so stick around. Now, since I created such a good lead magnet, we were able to generate over 1,000 leads in 42 hours, doubling my client's previous email list overnight. Next up were the market research calls. Live calls are typically the best type of market research because you truly get to go into much more depth with these people in conversation about things like their desires, fears, inspiration, etc. And the best practice is to take as many of these calls as possible and record all of them so we can then later extract the data with AI and pull out all of the valuable information. One of the best tools to record this stuff for free, calls for free, is Fathom AI. Feel free to use it. Now, there were two types of calls that we did, which was one, reaching out to new audience members. Now, firstly, the first audience members who completed the market research type form survey, so randomly engaged audience members, they were the ones that we spoke to. At first, I made the final question of the Typeform survey a Calendly embed, so they had to book a call to complete the survey and receive the journal. After all 30 slots were booked, so 3 full days of market research calls, I deleted that step and I literally had 10 hours of calls for 3 days in a row with these people, but I learned a lot from it. The second type are warmer calls. We used existing students to take calls with. So previous students who already worked with my client. And once this was done, I took all of the data that we gathered across all of the social media platforms. So the second type of calls that we did were calls with previous students who had already worked with and bought from my client. This was invaluable because we got to learn why they purchased, why they wished they hadn't, why they liked it, what to change about it, figuring out exactly how we can improve upon her offer. Now, once this was done, I took all of the data that we gathered across all of the social media platforms, as well as the survey data and the call recordings, fed everything to AI to give us all of the information that we needed about the ICP. If you're curious what AI I used to feed all of this data to, I don't know why, but I chose to do it in Manus. It was the first time I had ever used Manus AI before, but it went extremely well. I extracted this data and created a complete ICP sheet and context profile so we have in-depth information going forward to write all of the assets we'll ever need, like the VSL, emails, story sequences, etc. What I'm about to show you is just scratching the surface of the data that we gathered. There's a lot more, but these are some of the most important pieces. Here's some of the output, right? So for demographics and background, YouTube was the primary platform, accounting for 41.82% of all respondents. And then Telegram was 26.7, Instagram 22.43. The majority of the traders had between 1 and 3 years of experience, and another 27% had over 3 years of experience. So we knew that a lot of these people were experienced traders who just hadn't succeeded yet. An overwhelming 82% of all respondents across all social media platforms were from or living in Africa currently. We learned the age. We learned that they were actually majority male, which was good to know, about 3/4 of them. Now, super important, a vast majority of these traders, 81.35% actually, had less than 1,000 USD that they could invest into trading, which suggested that it was a market dominated by small scale investors, and I'll show you how we combated that. In terms of struggles, the main struggles were all psychological. So overtrading and revenge trading, lack of a clear strategy, different things like that. Also, the income goal was kind of all over the board, but 3 to 5K was one of the options. An overwhelming 93.8% of respondents said that they would be willing to spend under 2.5K for a mentorship. So even though 81-ish% said they had less than 1K, 93% said that they would be willing to spend under 2.5K, which indicated a pretty price sensitive market. About a quarter of them had already tried a mentorship, and we got a lot of other information about things like objections, common keywords, and stuff like that. As you can see, we found out exactly where this customer is from, where they typically watch her content, how old they are, what they do for work, their main concerns and objections, and most importantly, how much money they're willing to spend on a trading mentorship right now. And obviously, the biggest issue that we found is that 81.35% have less than $1,000 to spend. Also, an overwhelming 93.8% said that they would be willing to spend under 2,500 USD for a mentorship. Now, this finding directly shaped the offer price when we go into offer creation in a second here. Not just this launch, but the pricing strategy going forward forever. Understanding what your audience will spend or how much they have to spend is going to be crucial to finding out what to price your offer at. And this is exactly why market research comes before offer creation. All right, with the market research absolutely complete, it's time to create the offer. We have all the information we need. Now, I don't know if you know Alex Hormozi. I hope you do if you're on this video, but he has a book called $100 Million Offers. I recommend you read it. But the main principle from that book is make sure you make an offer so good that people feel stupid saying no. So that's exactly what we did. So for the offer creation, there were two core components that we focused on. We used all of the market research that we gathered to create the perfect offer for my client's audience. And the two main components while creating the offer are to devise the perfect offer statement, as well as the actual deliverables of the offer itself. So the first is the offer statement, and this is what we're going to use for our headline and our funnel. Right? It serves as the funnel headline. It's crafted from your market research data with the exact language, pain points, and desired outcomes your audience revealed in that data. And there are many ways to arrange the wording, but the formula below is the approach that we used for this, which I'll show you in a second. And the second core component are the actual deliverables. So the tangible things that your offer includes, like the calls that they get, the courses, the communities, the resources, things like that. Now, for the offer statement formula that we used, like I said, there are many different ways to arrange your offer statement wording, but here's the structure that we went with. Unique mechanism plus identity shift plus desired outcome plus time frame. So this is our actual headline that we used in the funnel. I'll show you more of the funnel down the line, but learn the simple 3-step execution system that took me from undisciplined trader to consistent 5-figure months in just 90 days. So as you can see, part 1, the unique mechanism, is my client's simple 3-step execution system. That's our unique mechanism. So from the market research, we found out that 69.2% of her audience was above the age of 24, 56% had 1 to 3 years of trading experience, and 26% had over 3 years, which suggested that these were pretty sophisticated traders. They already had a lot of knowledge. They were solution aware. They just didn't have the right solution yet to solve their problem. Next, the identity shift is taking them away from being an undisciplined trader. So as you saw before, nearly all of the respondents had some sort of struggle with psychology, discipline, or revenge trading in some way, or overtrading. So we boiled all of that down to one psychological issue, and we just called it undisciplined trader, which is the identity that they want to get away from. The desired outcome was getting to consistent 5-figure months because, like I said before, there was a pretty widespread answer pool of what their desired monetary outcome was. And then the time frame, it's going to be a 90-day offer. So that led us to this offer statement, and that's what we used as the headline. Okay, as you saw before, 81.35% of my client's audience had less than 1,000 USD saved up and able to spend on trading. Obviously, the meta with selling coaching is selling high ticket where applicable. High ticket is way better for a few reasons. You need less buyers to make more money. For example, with a $50 offer, you would need 2,000 buyers to make 100K. But with a $5,000 offer, you only need 20 people to buy it to make 100K. You have higher quality clients. High ticket attracts higher quality people because people who invest more typically show up more, learn more often, ask better questions. They're just more engaged and they're easier to deal with. And having fewer clients obviously leads to better and easier delivery. So those three things make high ticket way better than trying to push low ticket, right? For a lot of reasons. But 93.8% of these people were willing to spend under $2,500. And if you know anything about high ticket coaching, it's typically around 2 to 3K starting price, usually 3 to 5. So that's going to be somewhat of an issue. But the way that we solved that was by implementing what I call a full offer ecosystem. So in order to capitalize on every level of financial readiness for her audience and capture as much revenue as possible, I decided to go with a full offer ecosystem, which we decided to have 3 tiers at 3 different price points. So here is the 3-tier offer ecosystem we went with. The top offer, which was our highest ticket offer, was the one-on-one coaching offer at 5,000 USD. Included in this was 1 1-hour long onboarding call with her, weekly one-on-one calls, 2 weekly group calls, lifetime access to the video course curriculum, lifetime access to her inner circle signal group, a private group, of course, and direct access to her personal contact information. Then we had a mid-ticket offer, which was more of a group coaching type of offer, which was pretty much the exact same thing, but they don't get the weekly one-on-one calls. They only get 1 weekly group call, and they don't get lifetime access to the course curriculum and the inner circle signal group. And then finally, the low ticket group was a monthly offer, $250 a month, where they just got access to the video curriculum, the inner circle signal group, and a private group of like-minded traders. And as soon as they stop paying monthly, they get removed from all of that, of course. Now, here's a revenue breakdown by tier. I'm so glad that we ended up implementing the full offer ecosystem because the low and mid-ticket offers ended up adding up to quite a lot of revenue for us. As you can see, the low ticket offer made us 8.8% of our total revenue. The mid ticket made us 21.7% of all of the money, and the high ticket made us 69.5% of total revenue, which was our flagship offer that we were pushing with all of the marketing. Which means the low and mid ticket combined were responsible for $15,400 of our total revenue, which is quite a significant chunk. And mind you, the low ticket is all instantly cash collected. There are no payment plans or financing with that, so that's also a benefit. Now, for the actual offer delivery, where we made the offer, where we gave them all of their stuff and things like that, the softwares that we used. Mainly, we used WAP, not only for the offer, but for payment processing as well. Either way, we hosted the course and the community stuff directly in WAP. All the signal groups and private communities were also hosted in there. That's where people joined from. But all of the groups themselves, like people joined from WAP, but the groups themselves were on Telegram. Now, here's a super dope piece of sauce. If you use Telegram, WAP has a built-in Telegram app. So when someone joins your WAP, they automatically get an invitation to the Telegram groups. And when their membership expires, they're then also automatically removed from the Telegram group, which makes your life way easier so you don't have to focus on who's leaving, who's churning, getting them out, things like that. This is what the WAP integrated Telegram community app looks like, so feel free to use it. But aside from WAP and Telegram, we also made an in-depth student portal. I personally made an extremely customized student portal, and we built that on Notion. So this was a super customized, super in-depth portal that hosted every tool and resource that the students could ever need. Like a complete trading book library with all of the books and articles that my client used to become profitable herself. A complete 12-week step-by-step roadmap of every single thing they needed to complete throughout the entire journey. Homework assignments, weekly accountability forms, and all of this stuff came as extras to them. We didn't mention this in any of our messaging, so this instantly helped our fulfillment because when people joined and got all this extra stuff, they were super happy immediately. Now, the last thing that I want to say about offer creation is that typically it's best practice to have a guarantee or some sort of risk reversal in place. Risk reversals and guarantees build trust, they remove risk for the clients, and it leads to way more sales because there's less skepticism and they just feel more safe. My personal favorite guarantee at the moment is using "or I'll work with you one-on-one for free until you do." So, achieve whatever your desired outcome is in your offer statement in time frame. So for us, achieve consistent 5-figure months in 90 days, or I'll work with you one-on-one for free until you do, is the best because it's not like a refund policy. You don't lose any money. You just have to work with them for free until they achieve what you promised them. For us specifically, my client didn't want to have any sort of a guarantee whatsoever. The only guarantee that we used was more of a risk reversal. And it was just like, you will learn her exact trading strategy top to bottom, or else she'll allow you to stay in the group coaching offer for free until you feel like you've learned it. So still somewhat of a guarantee, but we didn't push it too hard because it's not a strong guarantee. Again, how the guarantee works, you state the outcome, you set a time frame, you back it up with whatever extra support you want to offer them if they don't complete it, and it just leads to more sales. Now, from the offer creation section, these are the key takeaways I want you to have. Create the best offer statement possible for your niche based on the in-depth market research you got. This will do a lot of the heavy lifting, and it serves as the immediate entry point for everyone entering your funnel. It's the first thing that they read, so it's super important. I also highly suggest having a really well-crafted guarantee or risk reversal where applicable if you can do so. It just lowers skepticism and just makes your audience trust you a lot more, leading to way more sales. And also make sure you create your offer based on a true understanding of your audience's level of financial readiness. This will single-handedly determine how many sales you make and how much money you make. Because if you decide randomly just to have a $10,000 offer before asking them how much money they have, not a single one of your audience, if they don't have $10,000, is going to buy it because they just don't have the money, which means you'll make $0. So craft it accordingly. Next up, and a very important piece, is the funnel. All right, now that we have the offer and the offer statement, which is our headline, completely built out, the next step was creating the funnel. For this beta launch, we decided to build a VSL book a call funnel before ever moving forward with any webinars or potentially challenges in the future. So the core funnel flow. If you don't know, a VSL to book a call funnel is a sales funnel designed to convert warm prospects into qualified sales calls for a high ticket offer usually. Instead of selling directly on the page, the goal is to educate them, filter any unqualified leads out, and then pre-sell them before the actual sales call or conversation ever happens. So you send the traffic that you're getting them through onto the VSL page. Then they qualify themselves on a type form. And if they're qualified, they book a sales call and you close them. All of our marketing pushed every lead from the organic content and marketing avenues directly into our VSL funnel. All right, if you don't know what a VSL is, it's a video sales letter. Again, VSL stands for video sales letter, and it is the main attraction on our main funnel page. A VSL is a scripted sales video designed to move a prospect from curiosity to decision without needing a long conversation first. Its job is to educate, reshape beliefs, present a solution, and create enough desire that the viewer takes the next step. It does all of the heavy lifting in the video, and they usually book a call from there and then purchase on the call. What the VSL does, it pre-sells the offer before the call is ever made. So you don't have to waste time because they're spending the time watching this video and being convinced right there. In our case, the VSL was designed to have the audience emotionally connected and logically convinced before speaking to anyone on our sales team, whether it be a setter or a closer. And it just means that the setters and closers only deal with super high intent, already warm prospects, which dramatically improved our close rates and show rates for that matter. Our VSL structure specifically, you can do this in a lot of different ways, but this is pretty much a breakdown of how ours came out. There were some more things in there, but this is the best that I could summarize it in the least amount of numbered elements. So we had a pattern interrupt hook and audience call out, which just grabs the right trader's attention instantly. We had a problem reframe, which explains the real issue is not their strategy, because a lot of these people said that having the wrong strategy was the issue, but we wanted to position her unique mechanism, which is the 3-step execution system, as the answer. Then we had our founder's story. So the creator, my client, shared her journey from broke student to profitable trader, connecting with the audience. Then we spoke about the unique mechanism, which was the simple 3-step execution system. We provided proof from previous student testimonials and her personal results. We had an offer introduction where it was our first essentially pitch or presentation of the mentorship program. Then qualifying them, making clear statements about who the program's for and not for. This filters out any low intent leads. Then scarcity and future vision. We wanted to combine scarcity and urgency, as well as showing them what the future will look like if they don't take action versus do take action. And then all of that pushed them to the CTA to fill out the application and then hopefully book a call if they're qualified. Now that's cool in theory, but let me show you the actual funnel. I'm not going to play the whole VSL, but let me just show it to you real quick. Okay, so as you can see, this is our main VSL page. Headline up here, or the offer statement: learn the simple 3-step execution system that took me from undisciplined trader to consistent 5-figure months in just 90 days without a lot of capital, without complicated indicators, and without spending all day staring at the charts. And these were a lot of the reasons that a lot of people felt like they weren't succeeding with trading in the past. It's objections, right? They don't feel like they have a lot of money. They feel like they don't understand having a ton of complicated indicators, and they don't like spending all day staring at the charts to make money. So we tell them they don't need to do that. This funnel looks pretty good in my opinion. If you can see by looking closely, we have a bunch of floating candlesticks in the background, which I think looks really good. We have the main VSL here. Step 1, watch the video. Pushing some scarcity here. Then right now, this is a waitlist at the moment, but beforehand, while we were doing the launch, this was just a qualification type form, which I'll show you in a minute. Right after this, I'll show you the exact type form that we used. Then we had a bunch of student results. As you can see, really good student results. You know, this person made 10K in 6 weeks, straight profit, which was great. 2K in a day, 360% account growth in 2 weeks. We had a full breakdown of the program. We had more student results. We had a student interview, more information about the program, more student results all the way to the bottom. And then one final application down here with a little bit more scarcity involved. So a very good funnel if you ask me. Okay, now that you've seen the funnel, next I want to break down our qualifying type form. We had a very simple type form that was designed to have minimum friction because we knew this was going to be a volume game, but also a game of really non-financially qualified people. So we wanted everyone that had money to be able to get through this qualification process as quickly as possible and get them on a call if we could. So we made sure to have very few questions, and let me show you what they are right here. So the first question was just, on a scale of 1 to 10, how determined are you to become a consistently profitable trader? This was really our main gauge of intent to filter out anyone who just doesn't want to become better, but most people said somewhere between 9 and 10. I actually let the numbers that you could say be up to 15. So a lot of people said 11 as well, which was funny. And then next up, we had the contact information question, not really even a question, but we just had to get this obviously for obvious reasons. Then the third question was just the financial qualifier. How much are you currently able to invest into your trading? Simple, straightforward, frictionless. And this was easily the most important question. And this determined how much money they had. Now, the financial qualifier is where things in our funnel got a little bit interesting. Based on how the user filled out the form, we had logic built into the type form to send them to a few different next steps based on what they said. And here's what that logic looked like. So they answered on a scale of 1 to 10, how determined are they? Then they gave us the contact info. And then based on what they said for the financial qualifier, they were sent to one of 3 places. Since we had 3 different core offers, the logic was as such. Anyone who answered 2,500 to 5K USD, 5K to 7.5K, or 7.5K plus was immediately sent to an embedded Calendly page like this to book a call on the high ticket calendar with our top closer. As you can see, this was the page we used. Your application has been approved. Book your call now. They book. And yeah, anyone who answered 1 to 2.5K was immediately sent to an identical page like this one, but this time to book a call on our mid-ticket calendar with a different closer. And on these calls, we weren't pitching them the high ticket whatsoever because we knew that they didn't have the money to purchase it. So we just tried to close them on the mid-ticket group coaching offer, and this worked very well. And finally, anyone who answered under 1K was immediately redirected to our low ticket downsell page. This is what the low ticket downsell page looked like. And essentially it was a direct to checkout button where they could just buy the low ticket community. No sales call involved whatsoever, just by clicking join now. And then if they purchase with their card, they get access to the low ticket WAP. You know what? I'll show this to you as well, just because I want to spill the sauce. So essentially think of yourself as the prospect. You just watched a full 17-minute VSL, probably, maybe not. You applied and you said under 1K. So you get sent here with another video. This video is purposely much, much shorter because they just watched a longer one, but we want to now shift their belief and convince them to buy the low ticket group by convincing them that it's still worth the price, even though they're not getting all the things we just promised them in the high ticket. So this video is designed to position this offer as the perfect entry-level offer. Then down here, we answer a couple questions about the program, and then just a couple FAQs, and then 2 buttons to join. And if they want to join, they just get sent to purchase immediately. Again, this page was designed to shift beliefs regarding the high ticket and then position the low ticket offer as the best entry point for beginners and people with less capital. So we used a direct checkout link. For the call bookings, after people successfully booked a closing call on one of the 2 calendars, they were then immediately redirected to the post-booking page, which played a huge role in show up rate, and I'll show you that right now. So imagine you just went through the whole qualification process and you booked a call. This is what you see. Congratulations, your call has been booked. Important, complete these 3 steps now. If you don't, we'll be forced to cancel your call and give your time slot to someone else. Step 1, watch this video. This video is designed to prepare them to get the calls from the setters going forward, everything that's going to happen, what to do, what emails to look out for, telling them about the pre-call assets that they'll be getting. Then they are shown these 6 breakout videos in our case. We answered the top 6 most pressing objections that we found in the market research. How much capital do I need to start with? How do I know I'll actually get one-on-one support? Will this actually work for me? How much time do I have to spend on the classes and mentorship every week? How long will it take me to become consistently profitable? Is this just information I can find for free on YouTube? All those questions were answered, and then after they watched all of those videos, getting nurtured the entire time, getting told if they don't show up, they're going to be screwed essentially, we show them a bunch of the best testimonials, again, just to hammer it home that other people are succeeding with this offer. So just one more time to hammer it home, the type form was as such. First question was a commitment check just to see how high intent they were, then gathering their contact info, then a financial qualifier, and based on what they said, different logic in there to send them to one of 2 different calendars or the low ticket purchase page, and then a calendar booking page if they said the higher mid-ticket financial qualifications. Now, for the sales process, before I move on, I just want to give you a bit of a deeper dive into the sales process we had in place for people who booked through the VSL application page. We had a reminder workflow set up through Calendly that contained reminder emails and texts from 24 hours before the call leading up to the meeting, and we gave them a bunch of pre-call assets in those reminder emails and texts to nurture them and make sure they showed up to the call ready to buy. Now, let me give you a detailed rundown of exactly what we had in here, the absolute sauce, what each reminder contained. 24 hours before their call, they were sent a reminder email with a brochure about the high ticket program. We made sure that this was a super in-depth, it's like a 5-page Google document breaking down the whole program and filled with a bunch of copy to nurture them and persuade them to buy. 12 hours before, they got an unreleased exclusive interview between my client and one of her students who did very well that was never released publicly. 6 hours before, a reminder with the best testimonials page. So we made a separate path on our website that just has all the best testimonials. We sent them that link. 3 hours before, an email with all 3 of the previous assets in case they missed any, and they could look through all of that just before the call. Then simply a 1-hour reminder, a 20-minute reminder, a 5-minute reminder, and then a call starting reminder. Now, this might seem like overkill, but this led us to have an above 80% show up rate, which for this audience was extremely good. As you can see, these are the numbers here, 80% show up rate and a 31% close rate with people with this little money. Quite impressive if you ask me. Also, in our sales process, 24 hours before the call, we had a dialer triage these people. It was the dialer's job to re-qualify these people financially and get them really excited to show up for their meeting, improving our show up rate as well. They dialed them 24 hours before, they re-qualified them, and then they added them to a WhatsApp group with our setter, which is them dialing, and the closer, and then the prospect, obviously. So a 3-person group. The dialer added them to a group with the closer and themselves, and then the goal was to nurture them further, make sure that you're able to text them before the meeting, make sure it's all good, times are still fine, and then send them any of the pre-call assets that they hadn't seen before. So we had a lot of scripts ready for this, different things to say, different things to send them. And yeah, essentially this is what the flow looked like top to bottom, right? They fill out the type form, they book a call with Calendly. Then 24 hours before the call, the dialer triages them, adds them to a group chat. They also start getting those reminder emails with the nurture assets. Then they get to see those nurture assets or they get sent them in the WhatsApp group chat. And then another big piece is we had my client film a personalized video, but we used it as a universal video. So it only had to be filmed once, but it seemed personalized that we would send around 12 hours before their call that said something like, hey, I'm so excited for your meeting. I hope to see you in the program. Let me know how it goes. Just sounding very personal, getting them very excited because up until this point, they haven't had any communication with the person that they're looking forward to working with. And then the call happens and the closer closes them. And at that point, they're already extremely warm and super nurtured from this whole sales process. The last piece of the sales process was the post-call email flows. This led us to be able to recapture a lot of the leads that fell through for these different sequences. So we had an unqualified sequence. Anyone who went through and said under 1K was sent into an email sequence that was just warming them up, nurturing them, sending them different testimonials, and pushing them to purchase the low ticket, which was called copper in this case. Then any of the people who filled out the type form and were qualified financially above 2,500 to those top 3, but didn't book a call, they were sent a 6-email automated sequence designed to make them book a call, essentially. Then we had a 5-email automated sequence for anyone who no-showed that was automatically sent, trying to get them to rebook. Then canceled call sequence. Anyone who canceled their call was sent into a separate 5-email automated sequence, pushing them to reschedule. And then anyone who did have a closing call but didn't close, but was still financially qualified, we would send them through a different one. This was a much longer sequence, an 8-email sequence across 8 days, designed to at first push them to reschedule, but then after like day 6, if they hadn't rescheduled, we would then push them to purchase the low ticket, which allowed us to make a little bit more in revenue that way too. Okay, next up, and another huge portion, is the marketing. In this case, the whisper, tease, shout for our launch. Now that the funnel and sales process are completely built out and dialed, and you saw how those worked, the next step was driving all of the leads to take action. And the way this was done was with what's called a whisper, tease, shout, which is a structured pre-launch marketing strategy designed to gradually move an audience from passive awareness to active buying intent before the offer officially opens, allowing demand to build naturally. Now, phase 1 of this process is the whisper. It's soft positioning. The goal is subtle positioning and problem activation rather than selling them anything. You just give them soft authority, essentially just through results and insights, and just slowly showing them what's going to happen, saying things like something big is coming on this date or things of that nature. Phase 2 is the tease, which is designed to pique curiosity and be a little bit more specific, right? Increasing curiosity and specificity by introducing elements of the mechanism. The simple 3-step execution system, sharing student wins from previous behind the scenes moments, lifestyle proof, and things of that nature. Some key points here, like I said, are sharing student wins and transformations behind the scenes, introducing the mechanism and building anticipation, but not revealing everything yet, if you just want to boil it down. And then the shout is fully shouting and pushing people to CTA. So essentially, the mentorship is explicitly announced, all the details are given, the links are shared, and you're pushing them to watch the VSL, fill out the qualification type form, and book a call. Together, this sequence warms the audience emotionally and logically in advance. It increases conversion rates on the VSL and calls, improves lead quality, and allows the program to fill with committed participants rather than cold prospects reacting to a single announcement. The goal is to do this in an omni-channel manner across all of the marketing platforms. And these are the channels that we used. We focused mainly on YouTube videos, Instagram Reels and TikToks, email sequences, the YouTube community section, Telegram posts, and most importantly, Instagram story sequences, which did most of the heavy lifting. As you can see, these are all the channels: stories, videos, reels, TikToks, emails, YouTube community, and Telegram posts. Now, the whisper, tease, shout timeline. I'm about to show you the complete mind map that I used personally, just so I could see how it looked on a calendar basis day to day. As you can see here, this is the complete whisper, tease, shout timeline that I used. Again, this is just a mind map, so you can look at it and get a little bit of sauce. No one saw this throughout the process other than me. This was just for me to lay things out and see visually how it would play out, right? So it started on March 7th, ended on March 22nd. It was a 16-day cycle. The whisper phase was 4 days, the tease was 6, and the shout was 6. And this can happen in a lot of different ways, but you want to tailor this to your client based on the information that you've gathered and seen throughout all the other processes leading up to this point. You should be able to feel it out. There's no direct structure for a certain number of days, but I've seen it last up to 21 days plus. And I've also seen it happen in as little as 3 days. But as you can see here, these red boxes are YouTube videos with scripted CTAs. These brown boxes are Reels and TikToks. These white boxes are email sequences. So what I'll say here is we had a waitlist email sequence that ended up ending a day before the rest of the list email sequence, but they were the same exact sequence. We wanted to have a private launch of everyone, but we wanted to reward the waitlist members for being on the waitlist. So we pushed that day earlier. Then, of course, for the shout phase, we had a full public launch email sequence. These pink boxes were YouTube community section posts, all of them. And then these blue boxes are Telegram posts. Now, my client specifically had multiple Telegram groups, so that's why you see 2 different layers here and here pushing to different groups. These boxes here, the purple and probably the most important for us, were the Instagram story sequences. Purposely, there is a spot missing here because you wanted to allow for a little bit of time to replenish before you start doing that big final push after you've just pushed for what, 9 days straight, 8 days straight. So we purposely allowed for 1 day of nothing, 24 hours to not happen there. So the next day could be full of engagement, preparing people for the public launch day the day after. This green box was an Instagram carousel that we posted 1 day into the public launch, promoting everything a little bit further. And then this day we changed all of the links, bios, descriptions, and pinned comments everywhere to push out the link for the VSL page and the funnel, essentially, instead of just having what we had in there before, which was, pushing the long form content from the short form platforms and vice versa on YouTube. But I hope this gives you a little bit of sauce. Okay, now that you have an idea of the timeline, let me show you some of the exact marketing assets that we used. Okay, I don't want to give away too much sauce, but for example, day 1 of the Whisper, let me just show you what we used for Instagram story sequence. I've been working on something behind the scenes for the last 5 months, something I've never done at this level before. And honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to do it again, but after seeing how many of you have been asking for more support, I made a decision. I'll share more in the next few days, but just know if you've been waiting for the right time to go all in on your trading, this is it. Stay tuned. So as you can see, just building curiosity here, but not giving specifics of any kind. Now, here's an example of what we used in the tease phase. Quick update for those of you who have been asking about the mentorship. This is after we've announced that it's going to be a mentorship. Let me show you what's possible. This is Minerva. She made X amount of money in her first payout. Then another X amount of money in 2 weeks. Over $9,000 of profit in just 6 weeks of working with me. Minerva followed my simple 3-step execution system. Trend, level, trigger. That's it. If all 3 are present, trade. If any are missing, don't. Simple, not easy, but simple. And that's exactly what I'm teaching inside my new program. More details dropping soon. Now, let me show you an example of one we used in the actual shout phase. Let me explain exactly how this works. The simple 3-step execution system. Step 1, trend. Bunch of details about step 1. Step 2, level. Bunch of details about step 2. Step 3, trigger. Bunch of details about that step. If all 3 are present, trade. If even one is missing, don't. This is the exact system I use to make over $62,000 per month, and the exact system I'm going to teach in the Platinum Mentorship. And doors are only open for 2 more days. And if you apply before this date, you will get these exclusive bonuses. Then we pushed our bonuses. $1,000 discount, the onboarding call, my new prop firm scaling blueprint, the entire trading library that took me from X to X amount of money. Only 12 spots are left. This was real scarcity. Doors close in 2 days. Don't miss your chance. And then we put the link there, and that would send them directly to the VSL funnel. I hope that gives you a better idea of what these story sequences look like. Okay, now for the email sequences, I'm not going to show you the exact details of every email sequence that we used. I'm going to show you one email, give you a lot more sauce than any other video shows you. No one ever shows the exact details. But here is an example that we used for the last day of the public launch. Last chance, name, applications closed tonight. Now, feel free to read through this entire email if you want. You'll probably get a lot of sauce from it. I'm not going to read through the entire thing word for word, but this was essentially just pushing as much urgency and scarcity and testimonial pushing and nurturing as possible. The goal was to make every single person reading this that hadn't applied yet apply to the mentorship. And here's an example of the YouTube community post that we used on the same day as well. The last day of the shout, pushing the final applications. This is it. Application closes at midnight tonight. After tonight, enrollment is closed. Again, telling them about the system, showing them how it's worked for other people, what they get, what their life could look like after, which path are they going to choose. Feel free again to read all of this in full. And yeah, now, since it would take me literal ages on this video to go through every single email, every single story sequence, and I can't show you all of it in depth, let me give you a little bit of sauce at least. This is the 6-day public launch email sequence framework that I used. Here's some absolute sauce for the 6-day public launch email sequence. Since these emails are way too long to show in full, I'm going to break it down for you. The angle, the goal, and the structure for each day. So, public launch sequence, 6-day sequence. Day 1, public launch, all program details, CTA. The angle, announce, show them the opportunity, have a little bit of scarcity by saying the number of seats you are going to fill. Frame the opportunity, open applications. This is a very loud email. Day 2, Crush objections. Handle the top objections. That's exactly what we did. Since I opened applications, I've been getting asked these questions, and then just crush all of the top objections. Here's the structure here if you want to dive into it a little bit deeper. Day 3, proof and transformation. Show your second to top case study. Not the top one yet, because you can use that later on. This is the exact structure of the email as well. Day 4, selling them on your unique mechanism. In this case, the simple 3-step execution system. This is the exact angle and framework that I used for this email. Day 5, adding to the scarcity. An absolute escalation of how many seats are left. There aren't that many. We're closing tomorrow. This is your last chance. And then the final day of the shout, I just showed you that email in full, but here is how to structure it. I hope from all these specific examples, you get some sauce and you can use this for yourself. Okay, next up was the waitlist or the private launch. Like I mentioned earlier, the market research was used to double as a waitlist. Everyone that filled out the market research was added to a different pipeline in the CRM based on their level of financial qualification. Now, 2 ways that we built the waitlist were: 1, through the market research survey like we spoke about before, and based on their level of financial qualification, they were added to a specific pipeline stage. And we used those leads in the CRM to dial them during this waitlist launch, which I'm about to get into. Secondly, on top of the market research, we had an actual waitlist opt-in page, which was explicitly pushed just a few times a couple weeks before the Whisper Tease shout phase began. So we had a few CTAs in YouTube videos and in a couple other platforms just pushing people to the waitlist. Not a huge rollout though. The idea was just to get the most high intent leads on this section. Now, the result, both sources fed into the same CRM pipeline. It segmented them by financial qualification, and it gave us a pre-qualified list of buyers before the public launch even opened, people that we could call early. And I'll show you why that's super helpful. This is exactly what our waitlist page looked like. Not the exact headline that we used before, but something very similar. I'm going to be revealing the simple 3-step trading system that took me from broke college student to making X amount of money per month. So we used her actual results in trading, and we didn't reveal the exact unique mechanism yet. And this button right here just led them to be able to sign up via a type form so they could get financially qualified and add their contact information. And yeah, the waitlist opt-in page, pretty much the structure was the opt-in page had a headline teaser, a short video explaining that something big was coming, and a single CTA button leading to the type form. Again, the video just explained that something big is coming very soon, but it didn't give many details because we hadn't even reached the whisper phase yet. Here's the anatomy of what the waitlist page was structured like if you want to dive in a little bit deeper and look at this. And how the waitlist converted. This is super important. So a couple weeks before the launch, like I said, we did the waitlist push. We just pushed it for a little bit, a couple of days, a few weeks before, super chill. Then a few days before the actual launch began, we had a setter dial all of these super financially qualified leads. In the days leading up, they called them, and it was just private calls, no public announcement whatsoever yet. These people were told on the call what was happening, and then we booked them manually onto sales calls. Then on March 12th, we had our first waitlist calls with the closers. This went very, very well because 4 days before we ever launched, we had made $14,000 of the $50,400 that was made total, which means nearly 28% of total revenue came before a single public post went out, which is extremely huge and beneficial. Again, 28% of our total revenue came from the waitlist launch alone, or the private launch, whatever you want to call it. Again, $14,000 in 4 days, which is really, really huge. And why this changes everything. Why does this change everything? Doing this gives you a real advantage going into the main launch because your marketing stops being hypothetical and starts being proof driven. So without a waitlist launch, you have all hypothetical marketing. You say seats are limited, which has no proof behind it and is just fake scarcity. You promise results, but there have been no real buyers yet. The messaging is literally built on anticipation. The audience can subconsciously sense most of the time that it's just speculation, and it just lowers trust. But with a waitlist launch, you can literally show proof that spots are already taken. You can reference early momentum from real buyers, the people that buy and start getting results early. You can show that, share those testimonials, and the messaging shifts entirely from just anticipation and speculation to literal validation and proof, which means way higher trust and a lot better urgency going into the public phase. Again, the compound content advantages of this, it literally anchors every piece of content in real proven demand during the Whisper Tease shout, not just projected demand. So it increases trust by referencing real buyers and real results in real scarcity. It creates real urgency. It makes for stronger content showing real anchored results and not just projections, and it allows you to have early testimonials. It's just a win, 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 win across the entire board. Now, the nitty gritty of this stuff, man, the back end and the automations that we used. So I personally used Google Sheets and Looker Studio to track all of the main sales call information like cash collected, total revenue, show up rate. Now, the nitty gritty of any launch, man, the back end and automations. I personally used Google Sheets and Looker Studio to track all of the main sales information like cash collected, total revenue, show up rate, close rate, and AOV, average order value. Let me quickly show you my Looker setup. So here is one page of my Looker Studio. Obviously, if you've never used Looker before, it can be an absolute pain. You have to connect a bunch of different Google Sheets to it. And what you do essentially is you have a Google form set up that your closers fill out after every sales call. That Google form auto-populates your Google Sheet with automations. You can do that through Zapier or directly through Google Forms and Google Sheet, actually. And then the Google Sheet information populates this Looker. You have to make it look good. It's kind of a pain, but this is what we got here. So as you can see, cash collected, total revenue, calls booked, live calls, AOV, show up rate, close rate, how much money's left to collect, how many no-shows you had, how many mid-ticket downsells we had. I tracked that. And as you can see up here, this is in a 15-day range. Okay, I can't show you the Google Sheets directly because it has all of the client information on there, and I don't want to take the time to blur out all of that information, but this is the Google form that we used that my closers were filling out after every call. Just 2 closers, by the way, very lean team. I was doing a lot of the setting. So literally prospect name, prospect email, the outcome of the call, cash collected, revenue generated, post-call notes, if any, so we could track objections and things like that, and also a call recording so we could study everything and improve during the process. Also, if you've made it this far in the video, if you want me to create a full breakdown of how to set up Looker Studio, it can be a real pain, but I'm down to make a full video going through the exact specifics of it so you can get it without spending dozens of hours setting it up like I had to do. Next, on the back end, for the CRM, I just used GHL. Super easy. I have free access to it as well, so it just made it easy for me. No point in paying for closed CRM. It worked perfectly fine. We also just had a couple of automations set up through there, but mainly just for contracts and one other really nuanced thing. But then the main automations were all done through Zapier, and I created the whole funnel directly in Lovable, which is sick. So let me just show you the CRM really quickly, and then I'll show you some of the automations. As you can see, this is the CRM that we used, GHL. We had a ton of pipeline stages. We probably could have had way less, but it allowed for a lot more organization, especially through every single stage of the sales journey. Over 2,700 leads in the pipeline. Like I said, this was much more of a volume game and finding all of the needles in the haystack in terms of people that actually had money to spend. There was plenty of interest, but not a lot of money to go around. So for the automations that we had in GHL, all we used were based on the pipeline stages that they were dragged to during their closing call. They would be sent a specific contract. So for example, if they were going to do the payment plan for our $5,000 offer of 1,700 x3, the closer on the call, once they paid via our payment processor, would drag them to the pipeline stage of closed 1,700 x3, and they would get sent a specific contract. Then once they signed the contract, it would send a Zapier webhook that would then add them to the email sequence in Kit, so they could get all of the onboarding information. Everything was completely automated. All it took was the closer dragging them to the pipeline. They could sign, they could get onboarded completely. That's literally it. Also, a little bit of sauce here for you. Specifically, the people that we wanted to send through the qualified but didn't book a call email sequence, we had to use an automation in GHL as well as Zapier, because in Zapier, if I remember correctly, the minimum wait time that they have is 1 hour, and you want to be very quick. Speed to lead is important. So instead of waiting the hour wait time that you have in Zapier, if they were still in a specific pipeline stage, what we would do is we would check once they were into the qualified pipeline stage, but they hadn't booked a call yet, wait 15 minutes. If they're still in that stage, then you would send them, or we would send a webhook to Zapier, which would then add them to the Kit email sequence. But if they weren't in that pipeline stage anymore, obviously they would have booked a call at that point. So it just doesn't do anything. They book the call, they go forward with it through there. So that's a little piece of sauce you might not have thought about otherwise. All right, here is every single Zapier automation we used for this entire launch. This is free sauce I'm giving to you right now. I am not going to dive into each one of these. They're all in depth. If you want more information about these, if you're a coach or creator or you're a growth operator, DM me on Instagram. I'll give you some sauce. 100%. I want to help you out, but this would just take ages for me to explain all of them. What I will do though is, since I just showed you the automation in GHL that connects to the qualified but didn't book a call Zap, I'll show you how that finishes off. So once it checks to see if they've changed stages or not, so essentially if they booked a call or not, this gets the webhook and then they're added to the qualified but didn't book post-call flow, which I spoke about before. But again, there were so many of these, so many Zaps, top to bottom, everything, by the way, not just for the launch, but for everything we ever did with lead magnets, literally any part of the entire process, offboarding, onboarding, post-call notes, literally anything you can think of. Look right here. This will help you out. Probably it would have helped me out before I did this. Just for a little bit more sauce, I'll dive into one of these Zaps otherwise. So this is when they fill out an application, they get added to a specific part of the CRM in GHL and added to a specific Kit tag. So for example, let's say they fill out the qualification type form. It becomes a split path where they are then added to a specific pipeline stage in GHL, which is lead connector, by the way, based on how much they say. So if anyone said that they were under 1K, they would be added to the unqualified pipeline stage and then they would have a Kit tag added to them, the unqualified tag, so they could be sent the unqualified Kit email sequence to push them to buy the low ticket. Same goes for the 1K to 2.5K. Actually, we still added them to the unqualified tag, but they still had those mid-ticket calls booked as well. And same for anyone who answered these questions, the financially qualified people, they would then be added to their specific pipeline stage. And then it's a little bit weird. There are a lot of nuances with Zapier, but since you're not adding a tag, you can't search by email. So you have to do find subscriber and Kit. And then we had to make sure we removed the unqualified tag in case people went through and said these numbers before and then filled it out again and said the true numbers that they had, which were these. We wanted to make sure they weren't sent the unqualified email sequence anymore. There's a lot of nuances to Zapier and all the automations. So if you really need any help whatsoever, just hit me up. I'll try to help. I'll do the best that I can. Okay, that's pretty much absolutely everything that I used to be able to generate over $50,000 in 15 days with one of the worst audiences you'll ever come across in the trading niche. Now, remember, these are the 8 key things I want you to remember from this whole process when running a launch like this. Number 1, account cleanup. Make your profile pictures congruent across your socials. Change your bios. Push short form to long form with the deep link, align your Instagram highlights, and put the correct links in your YouTube and in your Instagram and TikTok. Just make sure you do all of that. It'll be super important for building trust. Then content. Until you run ads, organic content is how you will generate all of your leads. So posting consistent middle of funnel content, providing as much value as possible, will be the biggest ROI play you can make. Number 3, market research. Remember, the lead magnet that you use as bait is the first step in your funnel. This will determine what your audience thinks of your future products, and if made correctly, can use it to solve one problem for them and then position your offer as the logical solution for any new problems they may have, leading them to buy from you down the line. Then number 4, offer creation. The bottom line is make an offer so good that people feel stupid saying no. Shout out Alex Hormozy. Number 5, the funnel and sales process. Use a site like Lovable to design beautiful funnels across the board. I've spent time making funnels in GHL and other places. It's not worth it. Just make your funnel way better by using an AI software. You have the tools disposable to you. Make sure you have a solid sales system in place and automated email flows to recapture any of your potentially missed revenue. We definitely made multiple thousand because of that. Number 6, the marketing or the whisper tease shout. The marketing is the main driver for your actual applications. Whisper builds curiosity, tease builds anticipation, and the shout converts attention into action. This is what turns your audience into real buyers. Number 7, for the waitlist and private launch, this is a great way to collect some cash early and also give you a marketing advantage going into the public launch so you can leverage real scarcity with early sold seats and actual early testimonials and results, which naturally drives more applicants. Then for the backend and automations. The backend systems and automations that you have capture and track every lead automatically. This ensures that no opportunity slips through the cracks and gives you the real data needed to optimize and scale for future launches. Make sure this is dialed, and that tracking information and data that you get is really so important to improve for future launches. I learned so much from the data that I gathered that will make us hit 6 figures with our next launch for this client 100%. Now, listen closely. I just gave you a lot of sauce, but this is the most important thing that I've said in this entire video. 7 months ago, I was over $30,000 in debt. After graduating college and quitting my YouTube channel that I spent over 2 years building, I personally had no direction. As you can see here, I had over 32,000 subs and nearly 5 million views, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I randomly stumbled across info and never looked back. 7 months later, I'm running massive revenue launches for some of the biggest trading creators in the space and seeing payments like these coming through. 5K, 5K, 5K. Now, this isn't meant to be a flex whatsoever. I tell you all of this to say you can do absolutely anything you put your mind to, anything at all. All it takes is hard work, determination, and faith in God. That's literally it. Please find something that you love and never give up. Now, if you're a coach or creator and you want results like these or better, because you probably have a better audience, click the link in the bio and book a call with me, or simply DM me on Instagram. Both of the links are there. I'll have them in the description as well. If you're an operator, hit me up on IG and ask me any questions you may have about this launch or any other things that you want help with. I'll do my best to help you out. I'm happy to give more insight. I want to help you achieve your goals. Again, final plug, if you want results like these right here and you're a coach or creator, hit me up. I'm willing to help you out, and I promise we will do a great job and make you even more money than this. Let's get it.